everybody, and welcome to this episode of the CCC Digital Brief with Mark O'Loughlin and the Cloud Credential Council. And in this series of the CCC Digital Brief, I'm asking global digital experts to comment on the impact that COVID-19 is having on organizations and how digital technologies and services can help. On today's CCC Digital Brief, we're joined by Bryan O'Connor. Bryan is Principal Technologist and Senior Trainer at QA in the UK. Now, Bryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mark, for inviting me along. It's really nice to meet up again. So it's been a few months, yeah.
It is indeed. Yeah. A few crazy months that have changed significantly since we last spoke. Well, when I last spoke to you, I had some freedom, but apparently we don't at the moment. But it's all from a health and safety perspective, so I don't think we can complain. Now, Bryan, just to get us started for our listeners, can you tell us what industry do you work in?
Yeah, so I work for a company called QA Training. We're a technical and also as well business skills training company. So my job is as the principal technologist, I'm responsible for all the VMware, Microsoft training, CompTIA training. We deliver training to everybody, so apprentices, degree level students, and also as well out in industry. So that's basically us. Yeah.
So it's a broad spectrum in the learning and development, training, education, accreditation space as well. Now, obviously, there's been a big impact on your industry. So, how has COVID-19 impacted the services that you and QA deliver to your customers?
So a few months ago, 3 months ago exactly, is when we shut all of our training centres. So we were very much classroom focused. We very rarely ran courses virtually. If we did run courses virtually, it's because the customer asked for these courses we ran virtually. But now that is how we're running our courses. All of our classrooms are shut. Every single course we do is virtual. And from our prospectus that we had, 99% of our courses can be run digitally. So we've just wholesale moved everything into the digital space and into the cloud.
And you said that just happened, let's say, overnight, pretty much. That there was, COVID was going around, people unsure what was happening, but countries like the UK, where you're based primarily, and throughout Europe, made quick decisions quickly to lock things down, which meant there wasn't this 6-month plan or this plan to go digital to move. It just happened overnight. Can you tell me, what did you do to address some of the challenges what were some of the challenges you faced, and then what were some of the things you did to address those challenges in going completely digital, completely online so quickly?
So on the Friday, I was in London. I live in Newcastle. So on Friday, I was in London, traveled home on the flight on Friday night, and from Monday morning, digital training. So we had to ensure that WebEx worked for us, because that's what we use for our training platform. We had to ensure all the digital courseware worked correctly. We also had to get the labs wholesale moved into a digital workspace as well, because we couldn't have people in the classroom. And then for our office-based staff, what we did is we very quickly implemented VPN solutions to get our people home. But we also as well started down the virtual desktop route to allow people to work safely from home as well. So that was the main challenge for us. It was just completely closing every single center and ensuring that the people that were working from home were ready to go. So over the weekend, the IT department did an amazing job to get everybody ready to go. Everybody at QA has a laptop, so the laptops were ready to go. But over the weekend, we used System Center Configuration Manager to actually start configuring devices remotely to get them ready. And the biggest challenge we have now is actually Windows updates. So when people aren't connecting their laptops to the VPN, they're not getting the updates. And honestly, that is our biggest challenge. Everything else, like I said, the IT department did an amazing job. The first week that we came into the lockdown situation where we were running courses digitally, we had loads of issues because everybody wanted to work remotely. So everybody was losing their internet connectivity, sound wasn't working, audio wasn't working. We had a couple of hiccups, but very minor. In the case of getting everything up and running, we were fairly lucky that we run a product called AFA, which is Attend From Anywhere, which allows a mixture of classroom training and digital training in one classroom, really. So we just adopted and adapted that AFA technology to run purely virtual courses.
That's very interesting. I'll come
So
back to the cloud bit in a moment because yes, cloud is a big differentiator. I was speaking to Marcel earlier on, and he kind of said, "What if this was COVID 1995?
oof,
You
yeah.
know, it would be a completely different thing." But can I
Yeah,
ask as well? So you said a few interesting things. You had to adapt the content. You had to adapt labs. You had to adapt. So part of this challenge, I guess, for you, technology only solves some of it, helps
yeah.
with the communication.
Hmm.
But tell me a little bit more about having to adapt some of the other content that you have for delivery through digital
Yeah.
medium like WebEx or Teams or whatever people are using. So did you have to look at that and what works in the classroom? Were you thinking, how will this work
Yes.
over virtual delivery? Was that
Yeah.
part of that process?
It certainly was, yeah. So from my point of view, I'm a technical trainer, so I do a lot of technical courses. So I'm fairly lucky that a
Yeah.
lot of people I get on courses, you know, you've got that stereotypical IT person, somebody that doesn't like to talk, no communication skills. So
Yes.
from my
Yes.
point of view, it wasn't too bad. But for our ITIL Prince courses, where we have teams of people working together, that's where we had the main issue. We
Hmm.
found that when we moved to the virtual workspace, not a lot of people are willing to talk across a camera or a microphone. So trying to get people to interact with each other, that was the biggest challenge. So we had to adapt the way that our trainers worked, where we're now, because there's no eye-to-eye contact, because potentially we're not using webcams, some people don't have webcams, it's just trying to keep
Yes.
people engaged. So there's a lot more, are you okay? Do you understand that? And with WebEx, we're fairly lucky with WebEx training. We've got ticks, crosses, smiley faces,
Hmm.
frowny faces. So we could use
Yeah.
that. And also as well with breakout sessions, we could create the breakout sessions to allow these people to work together. And then to ensure that they were doing their work correctly, they were told at the beginning of every exercise, you will be expected to present what you have done to the rest of the class. So you
I
know,
like that.
would hand over presenter rights, and it's like, there you go. So there was nowhere to hide.
Actually, yeah. That's a fantastic way to, and the thought process, that's a fantastic way to keep them engaged and get them to do an exercise to keep them out
Yep.
of email insofar as you're presenting when you come back. So as a team, you better
Yes.
have something
Oh
good.
yeah.
And I think even in the psyche that works with people's thought process because now I have a challenge or I have something. It's not just because I think sitting there just listening isn't going to work. It doesn't go
No.
in. You tune out. And I think the last couple of months we've heard about Zoom fatigue and Teams fatigue, that
Yes.
everybody seems to be on these online meetings, and then you have to go into training, which is like an extended meeting.
Yeah.
But if you try and tackle it the same, it doesn't work. So it's
No.
about engagement through the virtual. And I
Yeah.
think it's as incumbent on the trainer as well. As you said, you don't have eye contact, you don't have the physical prompts that you would have by looking at somebody. So I think you have to assume a few different things and to keep it going, use the tools, but don't rely on the tools.
Yes.
But you said, question, are we there? Even I like to think, give me a smiley face or not, and
Yeah.
I can understand how you're feeling, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and with us not being able to actually see the delegates, I'm finding, certainly from my point of view, I am interacting with the delegates maybe more than I was in the classroom because I don't have that visual feedback.
That's
So
interesting. So
I'm actually asking more questions than I was before because I could see people nodding and shaking their head if they weren't happy, but now I'm having to ask that question.
you get those visual cues that you're not getting now.
Yeah,
So you're compensating for that by changing your style a bit more. And I think that's very important. That I
yeah,
think some organizations have been looking, not just in training, but in general, they've been looking at, I think, acquiring digital tools rather than doing something different with them,
yeah,
which would be more down the transformation.
yeah. I
I
mean,
must say you're, go ahead.
my new big thing's like iPad, so that's getting used quite a bit with the pencil. So that's getting used massively now for doing drawings because I don't have a whiteboard anymore. So I'm having to adapt as well. Yeah.
That's it. I've been using in some trainings and another thing meetings a digital whiteboard. I think they're really good because they're cloud based now that everybody can contribute to the
Yes.
whiteboard, regardless of where they are. And again, I did make the assumption that not everybody with a laptop will have a camera, believe it or
Yeah.
not, in this day and age, or
Yeah.
some will and it's broken. Or I came across some scenarios recently where over VPNs they may or may not work depending on the configuration. So we
Yeah.
have to assume that, but we still want to, I think it's important for those organizations that can and want to train and educate people that they have and that they have good reassurance with that. Can I
Oh
ask,
yeah.
do you think, obviously cloud has played a big part in this, and it sounds like your organization, whether it planned for, I don't think it planned for a pandemic to that
No.
level,
Yeah.
but
No.
through its adoption of good cloud technologies over the last couple of years, was able to quickly address the challenges they had. Would that be fair?
Yeah, definitely. So when we were doing a lot of the classroom training, we were physically setting up classroom PCs weekly. So we finished course on a Friday. We set all the PCs for the course running on the Monday. Then about 2 years ago, we moved into running the majority of our labs, hosted labs. So we're
Yeah,
using a company called Learn on Demand, and we're using those hosted labs. So when we couldn't go in the classroom anymore, not a problem. We don't have to set up a classroom anymore. We just give everybody a URL. They
yeah,
log in,
yeah,
specify a password, and then they've got access to the labs. And one of the things we can do with those labs as well, which is another advantage over the classroom, is we give them access to those labs for 6 months. Whereas when they were in the classroom, end of the week, that's it. Sorry, no more access to the labs.
yeah.
So and we do a similar sort of thing with the VMware training as well. So everything is a hosted lab now. So I suppose things like ITIL prints don't really need labs, but definitely from a technical point of view, the cloud has been a lifesaver for us. It's cut down
Mm.
our capital expenditure massively. We don't have to buy up-to-date PCs every 6 months in the classroom. Something that can run a web browser is good enough to run that lab environment.
That's it, because it's running the lab environment through the browser these days, not actually
Yeah,
on the machine there.
yeah.
Do you think that going forward we'll see more adoption of things like IoT or AI or blockchain? And do you think organizations will look to some of these technologies to see how they reinvent themselves for these crazy COVID-19 times?
Oh, definitely IoT, massively with IoT, especially with things like online deliveries now, where the delivery driver comes and drops off the parcel. So now maybe with IoT, we could just take a photograph. There's proof that we delivered your parcel, rather than getting somebody to digitally sign something on a sheet of paper
Yes.
where you have that human interaction. And also as well, a lot of my family who are buying a lot of things online now, one of their main things is, well, I'm staying in all day. When's my parcel coming? If I had a nice little tracker about where the delivery van was, and that's at the end of my street, that would be absolutely amazing. So if they could use that,
It is.
and yeah, I mean that would be superb. And AI as well, so artificial intelligence, absolutely, yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
we're having to change the way we do business. So if we have some devices that can make some trivial decisions for us, and free us up to do our day-to-day job in this increasingly challenging remote world. So from our point of view, we get evaluations filled out. The evaluations are then read by somebody. Somebody goes through them all, looks for bad comments. If we had a bit of AI to do that, that would be absolutely amazing. So it could pick up keywords and then bring back the people who had issues with the course. So I found courses really good.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
That'd be very good for the get learning and development sector. I've seen the medical sector is starting to change with using blockchain and IoT. Well, the IoT technology is sensors to monitor patients that during this COVID lockdown that
yeah,
could not get into the medical practice
yeah,
for support. But now they're saying, well, why don't we continue this?
yeah.
And ship out a little box with some cheap monitors, but are very effective, linked into
Mm-hmm.
clouds that's
Yeah,
secured with blockchain and all these kind of solutions
yeah.
to then monitor the patients without coming in. So because a lot of people do get sick by going to the doctor by
Oh
picking
yeah,
up in the
yeah,
waiting room. But also it means that they can increase the services that they offer. You could imagine the doctor can only see X amount of people on a given day,
yeah,
but now they could set up a little monitoring station where they can monitor, say, 200 patients on a subscription basis and be able to diagnose and watch if certain alarms go off and certain things happen. They can put in sequence of events. So
yeah.
interesting to see in that space. Now, but
It
going
would.
back to the,
Oh yeah.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say as well. Train stations have IoT with artificial intelligence monitoring people's temperatures as they're coming
Oh,
through. So
absolutely.
we could use that for
Yes.
monitoring for COVID-19 as well, as we're still in the the situation, and then collect that data, and we could use that for the tracking apps as well.
And see what happens there. I think there's a huge scope, and I think all sectors have to think about how can we use these technologies and services to deliver business differently, because the times are different. I mean, you said it there. Your massive QA building is empty.
Yes.
Who would have thought that? It's a massive. I've been there. It's a huge building and it's empty. This is different times. Bryan, can you tell me, if you had a crystal ball, what do you see being the biggest changes in your industry, the learning industry, coming in the next 6 to 12 months? Or have they all hit? Is there something else coming, do you think?
I think for us, the biggest change will be that people will want to remain virtual. Virtual courses is definitely going to stay. So we have a lot of real estate with QA. We've got 26 locations across the UK. We now need to readdress those 26 locations and decide whether or not 26 locations is still right for us. People are nervous. People are nervous about coming back into the classroom. They're nervous about potentially dealing with somebody who's maybe's already got COVID-19 and then that's spreading again. So we're finding, I certainly feel as though the big change for us will be, rather than investing in things like planes, trains and automobiles, maybe we need to start looking at investing in the digital technologies, get the broadband better, get the connectivity better. And also as well, the digital classroom needs to be improved for us. That's something I see working in the future. It's great having 6 people on a little webcam, but we need to make that better. Potentially, I don't know, VR. Let's all strap on a headset and sit around a virtual table. So
haven't mentioned it. I think, I'm eager to do a session on VR for learning, because I've been looking at it, but COVID has made me look at it quicker. Because I do think there's something there. However, it depends how heavy the headsets are, or how, but we'll come back on that. And if you're doing something on that, or if you have some ideas, we'll have a think.
We'll all wear Microsoft HoloLenses, and because they're really nice.
But equally, then we need a little extra technology, a little extra capability, some training for the learners, and then to think about, how do I make the training experience more immersive with, for example, VR technology? I think that'll be a game changer. But it's not just a case of getting the tech and trying to replay the courses you mentioned. I think you have to step back and say, how do I deliver this with different technology to engage, to really get people excited, and to get, the objective at the end of the day is to educate people and to give them tools and techniques and education to go back to the workplace and do something with that.
Yeah, we need to teach. We need to teach more of the why rather than the how.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we've plenty of time to do that at the moment. And can I ask, do you see, what's the biggest opportunity you see? So we could still potentially be in various phases of lockdown over the next 6 to 12 months. Virtual could still be the main thing that happens. Nobody knows at the moment, so we just can't call it. But what do you see as being one of the biggest opportunities over the next 6 to 12 months in the training space, or virtual training space?
The biggest opportunity for us is we can now become a truly global training company, because if we have somebody like myself sat in my office in Newcastle at 9 a.m. in the morning, then that's great. That's UK time. But if somebody wants to sit on a course from New York, or if there's a closed course in New York that they want to run, I start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So from QA's perspective, rather than just being a UK-based training company, we can become a truly global-based training company, but still not have to invest in that real estate. So if people are happy with the virtual courses, then we're happy to run the virtual courses.
That's fantastic, because you have that on scale anyway. So QA has a very large organization, has the scale. Now you just said, now we've got the global presence because we can remote train, and there's the the customers there, the audience there for that. But equally, I think that's as relevant to the smaller training organization as well, that can now say they're global, provided that they have the skills and capabilities to their audience. And as you said, they adjust the timings and the opening hours. I actually think that that's a big positive right now of the challenges we face, but the opportunity that's there. Use this time to turn whatever size learning and training organization you have into a global learning, training, accreditation organization that you have, to fit your market. Now you scale that how you want.
Yes.
I said you're on a phenomenal scale, but even I mean it gives hope to the smaller players that you can now become global. The technology's been there. If you're not using it, my goodness, go out and get it straight away.
Yes.
It's not expensive. It's
No.
easy to use. Learn how to engage over a virtual, and now you're a global organization, while other organizations won't see this. That's fantastic, Bryan.
Yeah, I
Bryan, I'm
mean,
gonna.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say we're doing that with the QA university side of things. So we've got QA high education, and we are truly global.
Yes.
With QA high education, we have a lot of Chinese students who are now sitting in
Yes.
China, still sitting on the degree course. They're still going to achieve their degree. There's no delay on that. We haven't had to close down the virtual classroom, so they're not having to socially distance from each other in the bedrooms. So it's working really well for our higher education side of things. This global
And
technology connectivity we have.
yeah, and I think that will be a change for the higher education, for the diploma, degree, master's type courses as well.
Yeah.
That this now kind of brings that forward 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And as you said, you have students there as locked down in China as they are in the UK, as they are
Yes.
in the US, but they're still learning. They're on the degree path. That hasn't changed. Now, they've had to adapt to how they learn, but
Yes.
equally, your educators have had to adapt it to how to teach them. And
Yeah.
I think that gives us a very good promising indicator as to how this learning and training sector can survive. But
Yeah.
I think it's about being brave, doing something different, which you obviously have, trying things out, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. If it doesn't work, learn from it. It's not failure. It's not a mistake. You call
No.
that continual learning and go on that path.
Oh
Bryan,
yeah.
that's one of the insights. Can I ask you a final question?
Yes.
So when all this craziness is over,
Yeah.
what do you look forward to most of all when we come out of this at the end of
I
the
actually,
day?
I actually look forward to getting back to the gym. So that is the thing. That is honestly the thing I've missed the most. I'm still walking 10,000 steps
Right.
a day, but
Yes.
I haven't been able to get in the gym, and that's the one thing I'm missing. I don't drink, so I haven't missed the pub because I don't go to the pub.
Yes.
Restaurants,
Yes.
yeah, maybe missed that a little bit, but one of the things I certainly don't miss is the traveling for my job anymore. I love being at home, love coming into the room in the
Yes.
morning, going home at night. But yeah,
Yes.
um, yeah, missing the gym.
You're going
So
back to the gym. Yeah, I do miss that myself.
yeah.
I miss the spin class. You wouldn't think it, but I do a spin class quite
Right.
often.
Yeah.
I miss that. And just before the pandemic hit, you could not buy a spin bike and get it delivered. I believe
Oh,
stock
right.
is
Okay.
now coming back, so I
Oh,
might get
brilliant.
one this side of Christmas, right?
Yeah.
But
Set up in the
I
garage. Yeah.
yeah, when we get out of this and we're all back to good good health, good society, I might pop over to Newcastle for a spin session with you.
Oh, definitely.
But
I'll
we'll
be up
see.
for that. Yeah. That'd be superb. Yeah.
Listen, Bryan, thank you so much for joining us on the CCC Digital Brief. I think you've given us some good insights there. It's great to see what your organization is doing. And I think whether you're a large organization or a small training organization, the same kind of rules apply and the same thinking applies. And that should get you through this. And
Yeah.
again, to help you, go back to your customers with what's the value differentiator that you have in this learning space
Yeah.
and all that. So I think some really good insights there. Bryan, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mark. It's been absolutely brilliant. So, and hopefully we will catch up in person at some point rather than just across the
Oh,
camera.
we will indeed. We will indeed. Thank you
Okay.
again,
Thank
Bryan.
you very much, Mark. That's brilliant. Thank you.